Well,
Sit on
welcome back to the
something.
MAJO Podcast, Real, Raw, Unfiltered. I'm Derek, and as always, Jason's here with me.
We didn't forget
It's
today.
just us tonight.
Woo!
It's just us
Woo!
tonight.
It's easy to not forget me when it's just us.
It is hard to forget you when it's just us. That's right. That's right. Well, so we did have a great episode planned, and our guest host unfortunately wasn't feeling well, so we had to adjust last minute. But we feel like it's a good pivot. So this week's going to feel a little bit different. It's episode 21. If you tuned in last week, you heard us at the end of the session talking, or end of the session. Jeez, I got to get out of therapy mode. At the end of the episode, talking about it being episode 20 and how significant that is. If you didn't make it that far in the episode or you didn't watch, the significance of that is only 1% of podcasts make it to 21 episodes. So we're in the top 1% right now of podcasts ever. And that's a huge thing. So that may not sound like a big deal, but it is. Podcasts take a lot of effort and time and editing and posting and trying to get people to collaborate and and getting people to like and share and follow and all that thing. So it's a lot of work to get to 21 episodes. So next week, we're hoping that our guest host will be back and we'll be able to have our show. Should you get it out of your system before saying I do, I think that's going to be a great convo. So, well, if you've been with us since the beginning, or you just found out about our show recently, like I said, we wanted to take a moment to pause, reflect, and talk about why we started this and where we want to take it next. And if this episode didn't land in your algorithm, help the robots and Zuckerberg help you. Hit the follow button and subscribe. Right? Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you may listen, so you don't miss what's coming, and you can catch up on old episodes. So, I guess the first question that kind of came to my mind, bro, was when we first started talking about this podcast. What did you think? What did you think about the idea, and what did you think this podcast would be before we started it?
I wasn't really sure. I thought it was going to be a good place for us to sit back and just kind of spend time reflecting as just two guys that have known each other for 20 plus years, just kind of chilling and hanging out and having a good time and invite some of our friends on to talk about, some of the things that we as men talk about. And it really has turned into something that I didn't expect it to. Like, it's become like the depth, like we talk about real, raw, and unfiltered, but it's the depth of it that we've gotten into and how raw it has gotten from time to time. And a lot of time we spent focused on really kind of digging to not just for the headlines, not just the surface. Like, we go deep enough to really kind of get to start uncover some root cause type stuff. And that to me, like, along with having the laughs and like all that stuff is fun. Like, it's a good time for us to joke and laugh. And like, we have a ball. Like, please do not get me wrong. But at the same time, like the stuff that we talk about, the things that we get to, the things that I've uncovered myself since we've been doing this, like I talk to Derek all the time and say that it's like, this is my therapy every Sunday. And that's not a joke for me. Like, yeah, I feel so much better and lighter after getting and coming to some realizations and doing that when I'm talking and just kind of working through the stuff that we talk about. Like, for me, it's been much more than I thought it was going to be when I started.
Yeah, that's interesting because I agree. I think it was just going to be a place where we could just have conversations and BS around. And the original idea we have, being us two and a friend of ours, and then that falling through and trying to transform it into being us and trying to come up with an idea. And so I thought it was just going to be a place to joke around and laugh and have some conversation, and also be a place where you was just like real about things, and bring something different out, than the normal bro heavy, toxic, whatever you want to put after that, whether it be toxic masculinity, toxic femininity, toxic whatever you want to put after that, that's out there right now that, has infested our eyes and ears. And yeah, so I think that the surprising thing was the people that were on board with doing episodes. I think that was super dope. how it has been really good conversations and being really impactful. Uh, and then, yeah, just the realness of it in that way. I have been surprised by how difficult it is to co-host, and you know from the beginning of doing the intros and trying to guide the conversations, and how difficult it was, and having our guy Rob on and it being a 3-hour episode and me sitting there like, well, how are we talking about the freaking Ninja Turtles right now? And
Right.
we're supposed to be talking about dad bods. Like, how do we get on Ninja Turtles? Um, and to learn how to navigate and keep the episode on track, but also be organic at the same time. It's
Yeah.
been surprising how difficult that actually is.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing about it for me, like we both have a very large independent social circle and a combined social circle as well.
Mm,
So the amount of people that bought into what we were doing almost immediately without even really having to sell them on it was awesome to me, because that's how you know you have a good circle of people around you, is
mhm,
those people without a doubt will just sit and they trust us enough to know we're not going to put them in a situation where it's going to make them look bad or make them look less than or make them look anything other than the amazing people that we surround ourselves with. So
mhm,
it was really cool to see how quick everybody bought into, the things that we had, the topics we talk about, and to watch the organic growth of the podcast every single week, and to watch the amount of people that have shared the trailers and talked about the
mhm,
trailers and commented and liked it, and those type, like that grows, and watching that take shape and grow like you would a toddler is really
mhm.
awesome, because it's just not something many people get to do. Like you talked about the significance of episode 20 and 21. So we've made it to that point where watching this from, us talking about our one listener that was, your wife. And
Yeah.
it's just kind of the thing, like we, so moving on from that, like now you hear, like I had my cousin talk to me the other day from Louisiana, and he's like, "Bro, I listen to all that stuff." He goes, "Every time you guys
Mm,
drop something, I'm listening to it." And he's in
that's
his
dope.
60s. Like he
That's dope.
he he's not married. He's like he's been married, but he's not married now. But it's
Yeah.
like, he's like, "Man, everything you guys put out, man, cracks me up. I love it. Like it's good, it's deep, it's got meaning to it." So even the people we don't even think about or can see right offhand or watching, like they're still paying attention. And it's good to see that we're able to kind of, spark some thought process in along with all the laughs and the other stuff that we're doing. That makes people think, and that's awesome to me.
So yeah, no, it is surprising how people will comment about stuff,
Yeah.
and that you didn't expect to see anything, but like, hey, I saw this episode, or I saw, where can I listen to it at, or I saw the clip that you did. That's pretty dope. I actually had my daughters come to me and say their friends were like, I saw your dad on TikTok. They're doing some sort of podcast or something,
Yes.
right? So yeah, it's pretty cool. What I guess, what has surprised you maybe the most about doing this together, the two of us?
I honestly don't know that anything has surprised me about it, because I mean, you and I have never had a problem talking about anything, or going,
Mhm,
having deep conversations, meaningful conversations, stuff like that. Like none of that has ever bothered us in the 20 whatever the hell years we've been
mhm.
hanging out together. So
Right.
I don't, I honestly haven't been surprised about much of anything. Like it's gone as well as I expected it to go. Like you
Mm,
had a little bit of nerves coming into it because you'd never done it before. But honestly,
mhm,
like being around as many of these as I've been around and doing the things that I've been doing with them, I had no issue with knowing exactly how it was going to go. Like I have been even more pleasantly surprised than I thought I was going to be. So I'm not
mm.
even. I'm loving I'm loving what we're able to produce every single week, because it's needed. It's needed. It's important, and it's gravitating towards people. Like, people are actually gravitating towards the stuff that we're putting out, and that to me that means a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I kinda feel the same, man. I feel the same. Um, yeah, I don't know if there was anything that I really was worried about or surprised about, um, other than just, yeah, I think, I don't know if I was surprised about how much work it takes to put into it. but I have kind of been surprised by that because, in the beginning, I was like, oh, we'll just do this on Riverside and we'll just post it. But man, I just can't do that, man. I can't do that because I'm like, bro, some of the clips that they be coming up with and then the captions they put on there, Riverside puts on there, be real ugly and it'll be right in the middle of somebody's face. And I'm like, I just post these, bro. This is garbage. So yeah, it takes
Your OC ADHD will not allow you to just let it ride.
No, not allow at all for us to do any of that. So yeah, but other than that, I don't think I've been super surprised about it. I am curious what conversations we've had that you feel have went deeper than you expected them to go.
Honestly, I think all of them have touched a depth at one point in time. There has been a moment in all of the episodes that probably went a little deeper, brought some emotions up, brought some, because every single one of us have had a time where we've been touched enough to actually be moved to almost tears. We've all cried, we've laughed, we've, felt emotions, we've been empathetic with each other, we've been sympathetic with each other. And that's part of it to me that's funny. Like when we can go from almost on the verge of tears to busting up laughing because we know each other like that and we know our guests like that. Like we've been able to turn all those episodes into kind of a mixture of emotions that really, I think it's been what's really brought people into the fold on what we're doing. I think that's why it's been so easy for us to sell what we've got going on to people. Like it's not because there's no gimmick behind it. It's just you and me being honest with the people that we're with and them being honest back. Like we're creating an environment where they feel like they can be as honest as they want to be without fear of being judged, being, played a certain way. We're not going to twist any of their stuff. We're not going to edit it raw and make it look weird, make them look any kind of way.
Right.
Other than their authentic self. Like we're bringing our authentic self, which allows them to believe that they can do the same. And I think what we've created, like the space we've created for people to do that, I think really is special. Like I've had, I can't tell you the amount of females I've had being like, well, would you ever want a woman to come on? And I'm like, hell yeah. Like we're not scared of women. Like, come on, like we'll do it. And it's funny to me because even like most women wouldn't dare go on an all-male podcast to be like, nah, I'm good.
Right.
But like we've had, like they've watched the trailers and watched the things and been like, I like what you guys are doing. Would you ever have a female on? And I'm like, bet, like, let me know. Like, we'll come up with something to talk about. We'll have all the perspectives and we'll have it out. But it's cool to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that is cool. You ain't told me that before. You get them on. Because my daughters brought that up last night. We were coming home from a movie and they said, are you ever going to have a female guest host? And I was like, well, I did mess with him first. I was like, no, this is male only. Never having that.
You can't sit here.
Yeah, you're not welcome. But then I was like, yeah, we just haven't had a female guest host. But I think at this point, and even before this, though, like bringing that up, I think it is a good thing maybe to look at integrating more female guest hosts and having those conversations together instead of, or in addition to it being a primarily male focused podcast, but including a female voice, I think would be super dope at this point. And I think all the episodes have been really dope. I think the one that kind of, I'm trying to remember the name of it now since I got 20 of them, but it was, I know does therapy make you soft? I think that was a really good one. That conversation, I think, went a lot deeper than what I had expected it to.
No, definitely.
I knew it was going to be a good one. Tony's super dope and, but I didn't know how good it was going to be, and the fact that we needed to turn it into 2 episodes, and it felt like it was just natural flow. Like we literally talked for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever it was.
Yeah,
and it wasn't about Ninja Turtles. or like it was just that deep of a conversation that it just organically kept flowing like that, you
Yeah.
know. Um, and then the last one that we did with AJ, whatever the name of that one was, I forget which one that was. Um, and then that one
That
turning
was Raising
into
Girls in the World That Was Nuts, right?
that was the first one we did with him.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, there was what was the second one that we did with him? I can't think of it now. It's gonna come to me as soon as we get off.
We're
But
just
it
like,
was
we're like forgetting our favorite kids. Now we're just like, what's your name again?
right, right. It was the one that he came on and came in the last minute and agreed to do it, and he
Yeah.
was a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Um, but that one I think impacted me and just kind of I was already on the edge of I had been on the edge of needing to of having conversation with my oldest daughter um for a long time. And that one that were just kind of solidified and gave me the extra little push to do that and have a tough conversation and difficult conversation I needed to have with her. So uh I think that, over the course of the first 10 to 15 episodes, so that was about episode 10, 11, 12, something like
Yeah.
that we had him on
Something like
last.
that. Yeah.
That was a big, looking back, it was a big central theme of having conversations,
Yeah.
and all of those impacted me personally and helped with that step of reconciliation with her.
Which I'm so
And
glad it did.
yeah, yeah, me too. And me too. Christmas was super dope. Having her and her fiance at the house and not being awkward or anything like that. So yeah, so I think that was the one that was the one that really impacted me. Gave me that push. And then I had a question, and this may be more for since you do Berry Nation too, may come into play here. But I guess what have you learned about yourself doing something like this publicly?
I have learned from both sides of this, between this and doing the Berry Nation podcast, that support is out there. We sit around a lot of times thinking that nobody cares, nobody will listen, nobody wants to help, nobody wants to be there. Everybody only cares about their own, whatever their problems may be,
Hmm.
and you don't feel like you have anybody to turn to.
Right.
And that may be the case in your everyday life. You may not have somebody you can reach out to in your everyday life.
Right.
But I'm telling you right now, like aside from Derek and a handful of the people that I like went to school with and grew up with and stuff, I've got friends that I met on the internet that will ride or die for me.
Mm,
They care. They know if I
yeah.
don't go to the gym. They know if I don't post a picture. They know if I don't show up for something. They know that, and they're in my inbox like, "Hey, what's going on? You good? You all
Hmm.
right? You need to do like and they pull up like they do the thing like they have." We like AJ, we met on the internet. Chris, we met on the internet. Like all
Hmm.
these people that we've become super close with, we started our relationships with these people on the internet,
Hmm.
and they show up. Anytime you need anything, you can reach out, and those people will be there.
Hmm.
And the support, the overwhelming support that I have found since putting my story out there on both sides, on
Hmm.
on this side and on the Berry Nation side, has just been overwhelming. It's just something that I never thought that I would find.
Yeah. 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 That's powerful, man. That's powerful. Yeah. I mean, that I can, I think is what I've learned about myself. So there's my own personal stuff. Like I like to be, like, there's a part of me that likes to be in front and be on stage and be, you know, at the center of something, center of attention or whatever. But there's like a huge part of me that doesn't, because I'm afraid of people finding out my flaws and finding out and seeing the parts of me that I struggle to let people see. And so the idea for this podcast came up a couple years ago, and I really set on it for a couple years because a lot of it had to do with what are people going to think? Will I be able to do it? Will people like it? If somebody finds out about my relationship with my daughter, and how is that going to impact, and what are they going to think about that? And so, you know, way that this has really helped learn about myself is I can do it anyway. That, and if people find out, and just have a conversation about it. Like I'm trying to. The only way I can learn to really accept those parts of myself that I struggle to accept is by letting people see them and being willing to have conversations about them. You know what I mean? So, um, I think that that's one, and that again, that I can do this, and that it gets easier each time. Uh, it does get easier each time. There was like that first episode, there was a big fear of it and how it was going to look and what it was going to be like and how people were going to accept it and all those things. But, 12, 13, 14 episodes in, it was like, hey, let's just do it. Let's get it done. And I may still stutter on some things and mess some things up, but it's like, it is what it is. Just
Forget me sometimes, it's cool. Like,
yeah, forget you sometimes and never hear the end of it. 10 episodes later. Um, it's been 2.5 months and they're still hearing about it. But yeah, forget Jason sometimes and
no, I mean, honestly though, like the fear is real. Like the fear, of wondering what everybody's going to think if you let them see the man behind the curtain, all the flaws of things. Like the imposter syndrome is 1,000% real. Like
Mhm.
I went through it a bunch of different times, and I'm going to go through it a bunch more different times. I, you get to a point where I've been doing the Barry Nation podcast for 5 years now, and when I started having my regain after my bariatric surgery, I put on 70 some odd pounds back.
Mm.
And the first time I had to appear in public, I'm on Zoom. I spend most of my time right here in this little box right here, so I'm good.
Mhm.
Like I'm golden.
Mm.
Nobody knows.
Right.
But when I had to step out on stage at an award show and everybody was going to see, that was the first time I looked at Sarah and almost walked out of the event because there was no podium on stage. So I was going to
Mm.
have to be on stage in front of the whole theater full of people with nothing to hide behind.
Mhm.
And it's the same metaphor like we talk about here. Like you want to hide behind this facade of who we want people to think we are. And then, when you really have to strip it down and be bare for somebody, it's like, oh shit. And I
Right.
did. I told her, I was like, I gotta go. And she's like, what do you mean you have to go? We just got here. And I was like, there's no podium. I can't stand on that stage in front of those people and let them see me like this.
Mm.
Because that's the thing. Like, who am I to talk to anybody about my bariatric journey if I'm gaining weight back?
Mm.
Like I was a
Right.
failure in my eyes. Like I have failed the process. I failed the people. I failed the podcast. I failed everybody. Like I
Mm.
was my whole time. I looked at April and that I was bawling looking at April and that. Like I was like, I am so sorry. Like I have ruined
Wow.
all of this.
Right.
And they're just like, what are you talking about? You didn't let anybody down. Like, what do you mean? Like, and I just was devastated. But
Right.
and that's the thing. Like you'll have moments where you doubt yourself, where you doubt your ability, where you don't think you belong, where you don't, you think you're full of shit. But honestly, those are the times you need to show up the most because when people see you can be genuine in those moments and be real and be raw and be unfiltered, like we talk about, like it's not just a tagline.
Mhm.
When you live it, it's not just a tagline.
Right. 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 Yeah, that's where it's like I'm just facing that, right? Like and I think that's the problem. Another problem with a lot of the podcasts that are out there is they put on this facade of who they are or how they are. A lot of content creators put on a facade of who they are and how they are and get people bought in, and then you find out that they're freaking terrible people who, not for their own reasons. I shouldn't say it like that in a judgmental way, but you know what I mean. Like, you've had those stories where you think it's a happy couple and then ends up in murder. And it's like, because it's not real. And I think that's another reason to wanting to do this and why we have that tagline that we do is because we want it to be authentic. Once you start living more authentically, it's hard to try to live non-authentically. It's hard to put on an act. Um, and so, yeah, yeah, I think
It's,
it's like, what is what it is.
it's very hard to sustain an act. You can put an
It
act
is
on for a
hard.
little bit, but it's very hard to sustain said act. Eventually, it's
Right.
going to cracks are going to come through. That's the same, people that put on, for like you said, the family vlog, and next thing you know, they've had their kids chained up in the basement in a in a dog kennel for 7 years.
Right. Right. Yeah. That old that saying of uh tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything, but you tell a
Yep.
lie, you have to remember everything.
Yeah.
Because it's not sustainable, man. Because you can't remember everything, and so eventually the lies are going to crumble,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's kind of what it is, man. It's
Yeah.
like, why start something like that?
But yeah, my favorite meme is the one of the apple, the shiny apple that's in the mirror. So you see
Mm,
the shiny front, but the back's got a bite taken out of it, and it's all
mm-hmm.
brown. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like this is the perfect depiction of social media right here. They just only show you the good parts.
Yep.
So if you and that's one of the things when I started sharing all the stuff that because my Instagram was 3 pictures of my kids from when they were babies and they were grown by the time I
Mm,
started really dusting off the Instagram and like putting stuff on there from my
mm-hmm.
journey and just everything else. But that was my one goal was to just be as authentic as possible. Never share any no influencery bullshit, like none of that stuff. I'm not playing those games. I'm
Mm-hmm.
here for the people for the right reasons. I'm sharing my journey, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything about it. Because what I don't want is somebody to think that they followed me, listen to what I said, and then they had a completely which they're gonna everybody's journey is gonna be different. You're gonna have different situations. Everybody's no one journey is gonna be the same,
Right.
but you're never gonna look at me and be like, well, you said this, but now this is actually what was happening. Like my shit was legit from day one.
Right.
Did I want to talk about my Regan and stuff? No, I did not want to talk about it. But when I thought about it, I was like, well, somebody else is going to be going through this and they need to know that they didn't fail, that they aren't, that they aren't horrible people, that they do deserve help, care, consistency. Need somebody showing up for them, and I want to be that person. So it really helped me to kind of step into what I was so afraid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's that last part, right? Help step into what I'm afraid of. Like I have been afraid for a long time of people seeing the parts of me that I'm afraid of and that I don't like. So it's just stepping into that. It is what it is. It's scary, and if they don't accept me or they don't like it or they try to say something about it, okay, let them do it because it's about at the end of the day, I need to accept it, and staying in a place of fear ain't gonna help me do that. Um, so I guess I'm curious now, like, so what has there been any comments or messages or DMs or anything that have stuck out to you from listeners that you weren't expecting or um, yeah, that just stuck out to you? That
It,
maybe hit somebody that was interesting to you.
it's just honestly people kind of being on board with what we're doing. Like they talk about an episode or they'll talk about something that somebody said that stuck out that really resonated with them, and it's cool to see because that means that we are actually doing we're actually touching people. Like people are actually feeling what's going on. Like they're resonating with it in such a way that not only is going to keep them listening, but it's going to help them along the way. Because that's what I mean. We wanted to do that in the first place.
Mhm. Right, right. Yeah, I think I guess it's been interesting, like, the intimacy episodes, I think, are what I got some comments and some text messages about, um, and then I got a message about, from, a family member of mine that's like, "Man, every Wednesday, it's MAJO night, like, we eat dinner and we put YouTube on the TV and we watch episodes every Wednesday." um, which was super dope to hear. You know what I mean? And how impactful it has been for them,
It's awesome.
and yeah, and their relationship and our
You
conversation.
hadn't even told me that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And and how how the therapy episode really impacted their spouse, and the conversation about ADHD was a really good one that they enjoyed because they have a house full of neurodivergent people, and so Um, yeah, I think it's just one of those things like you don't know what to expect. I think that it's been super dope to see to get those messages, and even my mom and well, I call my mom in Ponca City, my brother's mom. She's like, she told me over Christmas, or was it Christmas on Thanksgiving? She was like, I'll be watching all your stuff. Where can I watch the actual full episodes at? Because I see the clips, but I want to see the full episodes. And so I told her and showed her or whatever, and she was like, "All right, I'm gonna watch." So yeah, I think, again, it's cool to see it resonating with people. Um, has there been anybody that you have been surprised by that it connected to? like that we thought that this may be for men, but has it been surprising that it's connected to somebody in particular or a certain demographic in particular?
There's been, I mean, I've had a handful of women that have been like this, what you guys are doing is great. Like it's helping me to understand my husband more. It's helping me to understand, just guys in general more if they're
Hmm.
not married or in the dating world or whatever. Like they feel like they have an insight, it's a little peek behind the curtain as to what, what we go through as men in the world. And a lot of times women just don't think or, slow down long enough to think about what the other side is like. So it's resonating with people that I never would have thought in that side because I never thought, and I think it's probably because we aren't so bro heavy and doing all the, that it's not like a frat boy podcast. It's more of a, we're in the older demographic. So we're going to be a little more calm. It's going to be a little more thoughtful and thought out.
Right.
So that's connecting with people from all sides, I think. And that's the part that I'm proud about because I wanted to connect with everybody. I didn't want to just be pigeonholed into one demographic, and I think it's turning out that way that we really are branching out, and I love it.
Yeah. 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 Same. Same. Uh, just the why. I mean, from like I said, teenagers to people older than us. I think it's been surprising that it's connecting with the people who are actually give it a listen and willing to take time and listen and follow and do all the things. It's actually really impacting us. Even like the conversation we're supposed to have with this week and instead that got pushed to next week. The way that Marcus and Scott reacted to it last week when we said that the title, and they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm real interested in how y'all are going to talk about that, right?" And so, I think it's just the way that we're doing things and talking about things in a different type of way, and the way it's resonating with multiple people, different demographics is super dope. Uh, so why marriage, friendship, sex, identity, and mental health? Why are those topics for us? What is that for you? With those topics, why do we focus there?
Because I think it's important. It's one of the most important things. That's one of the most undersold group of topics for men to not only talk about, but to associate with and to break down and actually be raw and vulnerable about.
Hmm.
Because, we see a lot of things like Men's Mental Health Month is something that didn't used to exist. And
Hmm.
it became so important that now it has to exist because we've lost so many men from, them thinking that nobody cares.
Right.
And it's hard to convey that if we don't have a place to dump those emotions. Like it's hard for people to kind of understand that it's real. And
Hmm.
so I think not only us showing that we're brave enough to broach those topics, but bringing people in that are also brave enough to go there with us and talk about it in a real raw way
Right.
is it's kind of come full circle for me. Like I was super interested in those because I think it speaks to really who we are as men, even though that may not be how we're viewed in the world.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that, and there's another question of what do you think men are actually hungry for right now? And I think it is stuff like this. I'm tired of like, I don't know, man. I had know it has its place, but I'm tired of like some of the relationship things that are out there and some of the men perspectives that are out there and just I mean, we were talking about it a little bit last night, just the way that they try to portray men as just needing, just being angry or just having to fight each other because we don't agree with things, or that men can't have conversations. They can't, without it devolving into conflict, and so I think that, I was hungry as a man for something like this. And I think other men are too. And so, we could talk about, I mean, we even had the conversation early on about doing some sort of sports conversation and just integrating that as part of the convo, because that's what men like. And it's like, man, there's a lot of stuff out there like that. Not that it wouldn't be cool to do something like that at some point, like we've talked about, uh, but not to have it as our main thing. Because I mean, again, even in like media, like if you look at like sitcoms and stuff or movies, the dad is usually like dumb. Like, "Oh, what's going on with my children? When are their birthdays?" I
Yeah.
remember Jay Leno used to have the deals where they go to, like, Disneyland and they'd ask the dad, when the kids' birthdays are, when who their doctor is, and the dads, the ones they would show,
Oblivious.
be oblivious to. I think January 3rd. And like, no, it's September 17th. Like, and I'm like, and so there's like this image of dads and men in general that were just oblivious or focused on sports and
Yeah.
drink beer and that kind of stuff. And it's like, I want something different than that. I think that men
Right.
men are hungry to see that we have more substance than what we're told we have.
Right. Well, and I think too, like when we were talking about it originally, when we kind of brought up the sports thing, and I'm like, people are waiting for that. People are waiting
Mm,
for this. Like they think this is an act, and if once we devolve into sports stuff, then it's like, there it is. There's the
mhm,
other shoe that dropped. Like they
mhm,
didn't have shit else to talk about. They really couldn't get as deep as they wanted to, so they had to break out the sports talk.
mhm.
And it's cheap and easy to me, and I don't like it like in that way because I think that's how people see it. They see that it's
Mhm.
cheap and easy because
Right.
we can talk about the hard stuff. We've shown that we can talk about the hard stuff. We get
Right.
to the bottom of it. We can be raw. We can open. We continue like we've had episodes where we've started a little closed up, and by the end we're like wide open, talking
Mhm.
about things that we had no plans to talk about.
Mhm.
And that to me shows that we don't need the gimmicks. We don't need the other stuff. We don't need the shtick
Yeah.
because we can continue not only to bring it out of ourselves, but once the guests see that we are as open as we are, it gives them the safe place to be as open as we are being. So
Right.
that to me is the most genuine thing that we can provide for the men in the community. And that is, I think, what's allowing us to grow the way we're growing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like part of it is to reinforce that this show isn't just for listeners, it's with them. Like we as the hosts are doing this with them, living this same stuff with them, going through the same things with them. It's not from the beginning, we didn't want it to be interview heavy. We didn't want it to be like, hey, the guest person is coming on and we're going to talk to them and have a life advice and tell people how they need to live differently. It's just having conversations about life and what is really happening and what's really going on so that people can feel like somebody else is walking along with them and know that they're normal at some level with what they're dealing with, that they're not alone, that the stuff that they're feeling, the struggles they're having, the difficulties in having conflict and fixing things with your kids or your wife or other people, that it's a normal thing to experience this stuff. Um, and I think man, more I'm sitting here thinking about it, like it's coming up. There was a conversation I had with my son the other day, and he was like, man, I wish I would have never turned older than 18. He said, I took being a kid for granted. He's like, because life is freaking hard. He's like, this is stupid. Like, all we have to do is pay bills and figure it out and pay more bills. And it's just a freaking hard. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It's life, man. And he's like, and he was venting. And so I wasn't worried about it. And kids
Sure.
talk like this a little bit nowadays. But he's like, I just want to kill myself. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it feels like that sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Like, there's sometimes it gets hard and it's like, man, what is the point? Why live? And I'm like, what you're feeling is normal. It's a part of becoming a man. It's a part of figuring things out. It's a part of growing up. Um, and everything you're feeling is good. And I don't think people talk about that enough. The grief of I've it was interesting after we talked about had the episode They Don't Need Me Like They Used to.
Mm-hmm.
I saw, man, I think I've seen probably 4 or 5 posts and not related to the episode, just random posts from friends about how hard it is to let their kids go
Yeah.
as adults and the grief attached to it, how weird of a feeling it is that they're happy they've grown up, but they're also missing them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's because we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
not
and
enough
because
conversation.
and that was the thing. Like it's always been that. It's always been, oh, well, when they're infants, it's crazy because you don't get any sleep, and when they're toddlers, it's crazy because they aren't potty trained or they're
Mhm,
making a mess of the house. And every time I clean, turn around and it's like a tornado came through again.
mhm,
All that was cool to me. Like I didn't
mm,
buy. I was not stressing that at all. Like Sarah and I took shifts. We got the sleep thing down. I wasn't worried about the toys and stuff because they had their place and he knew where he could get wreck stuff, and I let him wreck stuff, and it wasn't a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But the huge deal was when they turn into the independent, strong, people that we wanted them to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh, wait, what? You don't need me to take you here? You don't need me to do this or do that? Or you got a whole doctor's appointment and you don't need me? I didn't have to do anything for it. Now you don't need a copay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a ride. You don't need to know any of the stuff for the appointment. Like, you got it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And
Yeah.
it just hits different. It's just something like nobody prepares you for that. For the 8 to 17 years your kids are kids, nobody ever is like, man, cherish all this stuff because when it's gone, it's gone. Like, I didn't have one person tell me that.
Mm-mm.
And it
I
hit
think
me
that,
like a ton of bricks.
yeah, bro. Yeah. I think early on, I didn't have people say that specifically. I think that they looked and said, I need to do something with my relationship with my oldest, but they didn't break it down. Like, no, like when this is gone, you're going to be hit with so much grief that this is gone, that you need to rethink about how much you appreciate what you're going through right now. And it wasn't until my oldest turned 18 and then Bubba got to the point where he was 18, and then Nautica and the twins, and then it was like, bro, I was actually talking about with a consultant I consult with every other week today, of like, this is our last club season. And like the boys aren't necessarily involved in any sports. And so it's like, bro, this is our last club season. And after this, it's going to be like one volleyball season, but we're not going to be a part of it other than games.
Yeah, that's going to be
And
it. They're going to practice without you. They're going to get ready without you. All the things they're going to do without you.
Work out, eat,
yeah,
everything without us. And it's like,
you get to be a spectator at this point. You just gotta hand the keys over, dog. You gotta go sit in the stands with popcorn and just be the dad,
bro. And it just hit me, and I'm like it's cool. And it's also like, bro, I'd go back. And I'm like, as I told him, I said, man, we're going to have so much extra money starting next year.
Nah, that'll go to tuition.
Yeah, probably if they don't get scholarships. But I'm like, we're going to have so much extra money and time. And then instantly I was like, bro, I'd trade it all back. Yep. I would go back
in a heartbeat.
And have Elisha be 7 years old again, playing basketball in the Y, and really embrace that, and have Bubba being 6 years old again, playing for the Packers and football, and
sitting on those hot ass hard bleachers, just back hurting, complaining like hell.
Man, yeah. And how, Saturday Y games, we'd have like 3 games on Saturday at the Y because we had 3 different age groups, and and it was so stressful. And at the same time, looking back, I'm like, bro, I would trade that.
Didn't know how good we had it.
I didn't. Man, yeah. So moving forward, what kind of conversation?
Where we're going in 26?
And where are we going in 26? I guess, what kind of conversations do you want to explore more?
I think, honestly,
what topics do you feel unfinished?
I think we have a lot of topics that are unfinished. I think, we're going to do, I think we need to get Peach back in here and talk more about relationship stuff, sex stuff like that, because I feel like we just scratched the surface on that, because we had a lot of people kind of clamoring about his episodes. Like, his series was really good. And that perked a bunch of people's attention, because they realized that not only did they have unresolved things that they didn't even know about, but I feel like they have other things they want to work on too. So I think that'll be a really good one. Like, I don't know of one guest we've had on that I don't want to come back and talk about something else. Like, we've got so many conversations that we haven't even tapped yet, and I'm super excited for it. Like, the one we were supposed to do for 21 is going to be amazing in itself. Like, we have a lot of things I think we can still talk about. Like, as far as the just from the men's standpoint of a lot of different areas. So I'm excited for what 26 has as a whole, because we're gonna, branching out, getting more people, getting some women in here to talk about some things. Like, it's gonna be good.
Yeah. I feel, man, the bariatric conversation.
That
Like,
was a
was it?
really good one.
Yeah, with John was a super dope one. Yeah, that sex and intimacy series. Was shout out to TikTok for trying to ban us on that one. They gave us a warning and wasn't if we violated it again, we were going to get banned. So I couldn't post many clips on there, which is so stupid given what's on
Dumb.
TikTok. Man, the ADHD episode, I think was even though that was just recent, I think they're still done. I mean, and even talking about like, man, the overuse of narcissism and bipolar and all the diagnoses that people overuse or don't understand, like thinking about having conversations about those and actually, maybe having Scott come back on and like really talk about education and about those things and what it really means to be narcissist and or borderline or
like
bipolar.
Because that's the thing. Like people throw that shit out there, and it's like that's an insult to the people that have really had to deal with somebody that's like that. And you're just throwing that shit out there. But it's also like, to me, like you had said it earlier, it was funny to me, it made me laugh, because the overuse of toxic masculinity. Because people will just say that shit. If you disagree with them, they're just like, oh, well, we know why.
Yeah.
You're one of those. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, what?
Yeah.
Just because we don't agree on some shit? Like, maybe you have a whack ass opinion. Maybe I don't want to hear about it. Maybe I'm closed off to what you're trying to say. But at the same time, that just means it's a difference of opinion. It doesn't mean that I'm toxic about anything. Like, we can disagree and it be okay. Like, it doesn't have to make me a horrible person or you a horrible person because we don't see eye to eye on something. Like, we used to be able to just disagree and keep it moving. They agree to disagree and keep stepping.
Right. And still be cool afterwards.
Nah, son. We're
Future episode coming soon.
Right. Exactly.
About that topic.
It's in the pipe. In the pipeline.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there things that you want to talk about that we haven't talked about yet? Is there something on your mind that you think we should touch that we haven't?
I've got a list of things that I'm trying to compile, and I'm carefully compiling because I don't want it to be too similar to stuff we've already talked about. So, but I am keeping track of a little list that I want to get into for some things. But yeah, nothing I want to divulge right now because it's a secret.
It's a secret, even from you.
Right.
Planning a coup.
That's right.
To take over the show.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Right. Yeah, man. I just want to. I don't think there's anything we haven't talked about that I want to talk about, that I want to talk about. It's just it's interesting to see where we can go and what we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And there is a worry about feeling repetitive, and at the same time, I think that there's going to be new listeners, and so there's a benefit in having some repetition, and kind of hitting on some of the same subjects because some people are going to tune in brand new and never heard us talk about it before, and it's normal life, it's everyday life, and so people are consistently dealing with this stuff, and so I think we should talk about some things over again.
Or even if we approached the same subject with a different guest, because differences of opinion and the way people view things is going to be something that's going to be different too.
Yeah. What scares you a little, but feels worth going into?
Honestly, man, the way that this has organically grown, I'm not scared about anything because we have carefully curated kind of the outline of how we want this to go. So I know that, where there's certain topics that we've talked about that we're going to stay away from, things we're not going to put out there because this is not the cancel culture shit that we got going on. Like, I'm not trying to have anybody show up at my house with no thanks. So, but no, I mean, honestly, I'm not scared of anything, to be honest. Like, we've done really well at taking, because all the, we take time to sit back and have, meetings and things to make sure that we are putting our best foot forward when it comes to choosing episode outline so that it's not, so that it's a safe space to feel uncomfortable and grow from that uncomfortability.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That was an interesting question that popped up. What are we scared for the future? I think the only thing that scares me a little is running out of topics. Is what happens if we run out of topics. But it's like, I know that's not going to happen, but that is a worry of like, what if we run out of stuff to talk about? But then it's like we end up talking about something,
Right.
and so it's an understandable fear, because the fear is we run out of stuff to talk about and people don't listen anymore, and
Yeah.
then what, and so it's understandable fear. It's just not one that's really going to probably come to fruition.
Right.
Um, I do want to know how you want the show to grow without losing its soul. Like how do you want us to get maybe bigger, larger, grow the show, the audience, without losing our soul of the
The
show?
the biggest thing to me is it has to be organic. It has to be, and I know I've said that a few times, but
Mhm.
if you guys are keeping a counter, let us know how many times. No, honestly, the soul stays with us, and it just is going to be imperative that you and I agree that moving forward, no matter what is offered, no matter how it's offered, no matter what it looks like, if we can't be us the same way we've been us since we started, then it's
Mhm.
not for us. I
Yeah.
don't care what the check looks like. I don't care what the offer looks like. I don't care what the anything looks like.
Right.
If it's changing anything aside from what we've done to grow the show to that point, and if it's something that aligns to what we're already doing, and it's a constructive criticism that we can make the adjustment and still keep going and not lose ourselves, that's one thing.
Right.
But selling out for the check or the endorsement or whatever it may be, like that's just not something that, and that is something that we have to come together and promise the audience that that's not something that we're going to do. We are not going to let the soul of the show go for a check.
Mhm. I'm like, man, 50 million though. I'm just playing.
I
I'm
mean,
just playing.
that's that Chappelle Africa money right there. Like,
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Hey, Dave set the example on that one. He said what to do. Don't sell your soul, bro. So yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the purpose of this, the soul of this, is the real, raw, unfiltered. And as long as it's organic, as long as it's real, as long as it's raw, as long as it's unfiltered, um, then I'm excited for where it goes. It is going to be interesting if and when it does get a lot bigger, and we do get a lot more people listening, and we grow in our reach, what that's going to look like at that point,
Yeah.
and how the show does, understandably, and like everything as it gets bigger, needs to go through some transformation and some growth and some changes and things like that. It'd be interesting to see what those are,
Yeah.
uh, and how that looks. Um, any other final thoughts? Anything?
I'm just excited, dog. Like, I'm excited to stay the course and to keep pushing and to reach more people, because I know
Yeah,
there's people out there, that need to hear what we have to say. And if we can help one person per episode, and that person shares this with somebody that they feel like could benefit from it, then I think we've done our job.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's a perfect segue into, like, we want to hear from you, the listener, what you want us to talk about. More of what we're already doing, new territory. What questions do you have that you've never heard answered honestly? What topics are you afraid to bring up in your own life? Uh, all that stuff. Like, DM us, comment, send us something. Tell us what you want to hear, what you want us to talk about, what topics you want. Tell us what you're wrestling with, so we can have conversations about it. And again, it's, the podcast has never been about having the answers. That's not what this show is for, is to have the answers and tell people how to do. It's just to be honest about what we're doing, and what we've been through, and give our perspective on things. And so, I think one of the primary goals of this, is about staying curious, staying honest, and not pretending we've got it all figured out. And that's about the soul of it, right? That goes back to that real, raw, unfiltered part. So if you've been a part of the first 21 episodes, thank you. We appreciate you. And if you're just getting here, we're glad that you found us. And we hope that you stay for the next 21 and beyond. So we'll be back next week with a new conversation and a lot more coming after that. So follow at the MAJO Podcast on all social media platforms. At the giant I can't talk now, at the giant underscore therapist on Instagram and TikTok, and at the therapy giant on Facebook, at the Smithsonian with the A, THA,
Actually,
at the underscore.
THA underscore Smithsonian underscore on Instagram. They actually let me be the Smithsonian on TikTok. Apparently the museum doesn't have a TikTok. They had an Instagram. They did not like me being the Smithsonian on the Instagram, so I had to change it to the.
And on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, search the MAJO, MAJO podcast. Some of them don't let us do at the MAJO podcast yet because we're not big enough. And if you're hearing this, follow and subscribe. Again, hit that follow button, subscribe, share. Share it with somebody you think would be impacted by what we talk about. So tune in next week for that super dope conversation. Should you get it out of your system before you say I do? I'm looking forward to that one. So we'll see you then.
All right, Joe.